So who likes small cap, unfollowed German serial acquirers? Well, this guy does. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that gets me excited. I'm a big nerd. But if you're a nerd like me who's into serial acquirers, I have an email that goes out once a week where I value some of my favorite serial acquirers called Yes Stocks, No Stocks. Link in the description for that. Okay, so MBB SE is a serial acquirer that has some interesting traits. Let's talk about the subsidiaries that they have. They only actually have 6 at the moment. Well, some of those subsidiaries have subsidiaries, but let's just start with the 6 main business areas. So one of their businesses is called Orman, and that's a business that makes machines and automation solutions for the automotive industry in Germany. They've been doing it for like 30 years. It's a very interesting business with the whole automating factories and the electric vehicle kind of boom that's happening at the moment, I guess. Anyway, they make the machines that go inside these factories to improve processes and things like that. So also like engineering related services around that kind of world. That's Orman. The next main business they have is Vorwerk. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm not German, so Vorwerk is how I'm going to read it anyway. They do like civil engineering projects. So think gas lines, electrical lines, any sort of big infrastructure projects that the German government needs to do. It's a big business. It's pretty capital heavy. And this business has actually been making like acquisitions itself, like subsidiaries to subsidiaries, if that makes sense. So they've been buying up other businesses in that world too. So yeah, think civil engineering, infrastructure related business stuff. Regarding sizes, Orman does like 200 million euro in revenue. Vorwerk does like well over 300 million. Their other subsidiaries now do like it gets less and less. For example, DTSIT, that's providing cybersecurity and IT infrastructure for server rooms and let's call it cloud-based IT stuff. They're at about 100 million. Then they've got Delignit, which is a supplier of hardboard-based materials. They supply this stuff for the automotive, rail, and safety industries. This one's only doing about 75 million euro. Still a big business, but smaller than the others. Then they've got Henke Tissue, which, as you can imagine, it makes tissue paper. This one's actually in Poland. It does about 70 million euro. And their last area is CT Formpolster, which they're a supplier of mattresses for e-commerce businesses. So yeah, they actually sell a lot of these mattresses themselves, I think, too. So this does about 37 million in revenue. Some of these businesses, they don't own the full share count of this. They own pieces of it, but it's all majority pieces. Actually, it's not quite majority. Vorwerk and Orman, they are the biggest shareholders, but I think it's like 36% and about 45% or something like that share. They own a big piece, but not the entire thing. So like a lot of the other serial acquirers that I'm into, MBB have a long-term focus. They don't have the intention to resell any of their businesses. I think that's important. It sort of differentiates them from private equity. Private equity generally have mandates to grow businesses, optimize them, and sell them after 5 years to return the money back to their investors. But MBB being a long-term vehicle, like a lot of the other serial acquirers, means they don't have to do that. They can just keep the businesses growing and using the cash flow for more acquisitions. I like that model better than the private equity model. It generally means I think it's a better long-term play personally. It doesn't mean private equity is a bad investment. Some private equity firms doing this are exceptional at this too. They just have to keep finding good ideas all the time because they're constantly selling good ones. Well, I don't know why, but they have to. So anyway. Now, this slide was actually from their half-year results in 2023. It shows Vorwerk has grown quite a lot in that period of time, from the 9 months of 22 to the 9 months of 23, and Orman as well. And Orman, the business, made a acquisition of a company called Laycom. So the subsidiary made a acquisition, which I think is kind of cool. I like that idea that their businesses have the ability to make acquisitions and they have the insights into their industry. So I think that's smart. So this slide is showing a little bit of their capital allocation policy. So MBB actually pay a dividend. It was €1 per share. And they also purchased back 7 million euro worth of stock as well. And you can sort of see how that's been progressing since the IPO back in 2006 up to 2023. So that's the dividend payments per share has been growing for those dividend investors out there. Now, if you haven't been paying that much attention so far, that's okay. Let me try to grab your attention here with this slide. So the business is holding net cash of 321 million euro. They've got valuations of Vorwerk, Orman, and Delignite, which are very easy to value, at 230 million euro. Then their other subsidiaries have obviously some value because they're profitable and doing well. MBB as a holding company or a acquisition engine of some kind maybe has some value. Obviously, head office as a cost is a cost center for the overall business, but if they're making good decisions, maybe they're worth at least what they're making. So as you can sort of see, the market capitalization on the right hand side is not even as much as half of their subsidiaries and the cash that they have. So they're arguing here that it's quite undervalued compared to like a liquidation value of this business. After some digging, I went through their remuneration policy. There's quite a lot of bonuses and stock options granted back in 2020, 2021, but that seems to be finishing up now. I'm not sure if they will do more stock options in the future, so it's a bit of a wait and see on that front. Bonuses seemed quite big at first, but they were rewarded for the strong IPO of Vorwerk. That was a big winner for everyone involved, so maybe the bonuses actually were totally fair because, yeah, that was a very successful IPO. They made 7 times the money or something like that very quickly. Obviously, I like alignment of incentives with management, but I don't like lots of dilution for the regular shareholder. Now let's talk more about valuation. So they seem to be making around 60 to 70 million of EBITDA. Then if they were to deploy the capital they have, that net cash position they have, in solid businesses, let's say at 6 to 8 times valuations, that would add maybe another 50 million of EBITDA. So at a current market cap, we're paying about 5 times EBITDA if they found something to invest in. But that's quite a big if. But instead of deploying that money, they're sitting on a lot of cash, which I probably think it's fine as long as they're going to deploy it at some point soon. Now, I talked about a sum of the parts kind of style valuation before in that slide, but I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to focus on that. I'm not going to use that as a valuation because I don't think we would ever see a liquidation event of the business. So for me, some of the parts feels kind of pointless. I prefer to focus on multiples of EBITDA, essentially earnings per share growing over time. That's what I want to look at, and then what I'm paying for that earnings per share growth. Okay, so that's probably the knock on MBB at the moment, which is like comparing it to like Lifco, Constellation Software, and Technion, who are consistently acquiring businesses. They're putting money to work at good prices into good places. This regular ability to deploy money is, I think, what makes them elite. And MBB haven't been able to do that. It's good to be patient and wait for the right opportunity, but I think it shows that they're not either doing enough to find the deal or possibly they're focusing too narrow on what they're looking for. Maybe it's a good thing to be ultra conservative, but obviously better if they could deploy the capital and the cash into something really good. But while they're searching, they are buying back shares at what I think would probably be fair to say undervalued numbers. They're doing some bolt-on acquisitions. They're increasing ownership themselves into the business. To me, this is actually a very similar business that I've actually already invested in called Brockhaus Technology. That's also in Germany. Yeah, similar profile in a lot of these ways, and they're sitting on quite a bit of cash as well. It's that ability to deploy capital, I think, that separates the great serial acquirers from the ones that are not there yet. I would argue MBB is one of those ones that's not there yet. But if they can figure this out, I think this could be an exceptional investment. And you're paying, at the moment, very good prices for a business that may turn into a Lifco, for example. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video on MBB. If you are wanting more information, reach out to Tresor Capital, Tresor Capital. They have a lot more information on MBB. You'll just have to use Google Translate to go through the write-ups there, but far more detailed, probably one of the biggest investors in the company as well. And that's where I got a lot of this information from. So follow Tresor Capital for more information on this one. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video.